Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Josh Lander coming to you from Belgium still, and we've also got Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast of the U.S., and we are looking at Game 4, hopefully not the last game of this Nuggets and Lakers series, only because we really want some more basketball here, obviously, as both of these series are currently 3-0 as we record this, getting ahead of Game 4 here for you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. We've also got some player props up for this game for you guys, and we will be coming back to each and every game this series. Also want you to head to thelines.com, check out all the great written content we're putting up there, and use the odds finder tool to make sure that you see all the odds available to you from all these books giving us bets this postseason. Quick look back at the best bets we put up last game. Only 1 for 4 in there, but we had some things with some pretty big juice that we were looking at in small units that didn't really hit, as we feel a bit better about player props in this one than we did about that last game. But either way, let's jump into our first best bet from here, Nate, and I believe it is a same game parlay that we're looking at, right?
Yeah, but this one is a little more conservative. I'll give you the most conservative option here, which is LeBron to go for 20 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, AD 12 rebounds, Jokic 20 points. All of those are very conservative picks. I mean, I would be willing to go LeBron 25, 8, and 8 in this game. I don't know if the points will necessarily be there, but I do like him to get those rebounds and assists. AD, I mean, goes without saying, his prop is at 14 rebounds, and what he does at home, 15 rebounds per game. And the Joker scores more on the road, even with foul trouble and other issues. Last game still wounds up with 24 points. So, of course, 20 is a very low projection for him. That nets you plus 220. I mean, I played around with it, putting the Lakers money line in there, which certainly boosts it a lot. I don't know if we feel confident enough to include that in a parlay, but you can get some nice juice if you do. I'm honestly trying to be bold here with the LeBron triple-double call, win or lose, which is plus 400. So I put a quarter of a unit on LeBron triple-double and a Lakers win at plus 560. Look, I don't think the Lakers are getting swept. I know, we looked at that Celtics game 3 and said we don't think the Celtics are getting swept. This is a completely different situation in terms of having a competent coach and a team that is in some ways, has some fight in them, has some mental toughness, especially LeBron James, right? I mean, he's not trying to go out, a guy who's in some ways obsessed by legacy, just trying to get swept out of the conference finals. I think he will do everything he can to stop that. I mean, he is 38 and he's getting tired down the stretch of these games, but he's really been impacting a lot with his peripheral stats. Like I'm saying, 9.3 rebounds and 10 assists per game in this series. So to get a triple-double, he's right around his average. He's averaging far more assists per game at home in these playoffs. AD, like I said, 2.5 more rebounds per game. Both of them are a huge plus-minus difference, home versus road, because they've been trying to, plot out the entire series and say, like, all right, we need this one. I'm going to rest up for home games. Obviously did not go according to plan in game 3 because they kind of folded down the stretch. And to me, that seemed like, just like an outlier to a degree. I mean, the Lakers posting a 146 defensive rating in that fourth quarter. I think they can do better than that down the stretch. I don't think the Nuggets are necessarily going to have that complete killer instinct to close this out in 4. We saw in Minnesota, they did not. And the stars on the other side got their numbers for sure, right? I mean, Ant went for 34 in an overtime win. Rudy, 15 rebounds because the Nuggets offense is not as good on the road. And so I do think LeBron and AD will get those numbers. Those are the most conservative side of them, but I think they're capable of much more.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's somewhat conservative, even though there's a ton of stats in there that need to be accrued for this bet to hit. At least the same game parlay. Like, honestly, the LeBron to come out and be a madman is kind of what I would bank on a bit more. And I'm not saying by any means that the other two bets a part of this one are less likely, that not that likely to happen. I think they're very likely to happen between AD's boards and Joker 20 points. The thing is I'm really just more giving kudos to the idea of betting Bron to get a triple double and the win. And the thing is like you can get it at plus 410 for him to get the triple double right now on FanDuel. It's plus 390 on DraftKings and most other books around plus 380, 390. So like just the simple fact that FanDuel seems to be overpricing it a bit is good value in and of itself right there. And you throw the win in there and you get up to the plus 560. I like that as well, but it's not necessarily a situation where I'm like, oh, if LeBron gets a triple double, they win, right? Like it's a situation where he could easily get a triple double and they still lose. The way that the others are shooting for this team right now, and the way that they're kind of shooting them out of this series, and the fact that LeBron has failed to get a triple double while basically getting 9 at least rebounds or assists in a couple of these games is just a telltale sign of the fact that, I mean, how many potential assists that he's getting as well, which has included an average of about 16 and a half in these 3 games that we're looking at, so 16.7, whatever. So, there's a lot of missed shots that would even be adding to his ability to get that triple double. So at 4-1, 4.1 to 1 on your money there, I really like that bet added into this one that you're going for. So I'm going to talk about, the first bet that I'm going to talk about here is one that I'm not necessarily making, but there's some correlation that I just kind of want to mention here when it comes to how this game will go, because I don't feel comfortable picking against LeBron in a situation where he would get swept if he loses. But I've just what I've seen from this Denver team at times, it's almost like they've been playing with their food in a way that, when they turn it on, it's just an offensive barrage, and it's an increase in pace. It's an increase in pushing the tempo, obviously, and then a little bit less of worry on defense. It seems like the Nuggets are getting bailed out in the situations where they're coming and playing at a very fast pace. You look at the game 3 here was a little bit slower than game 2, but if you look at the moments in the easily use that range filter that you get to find sort of the specific minutes where Denver's going on certain runs, the pace when they're going on those runs. There was one in the first quarter. They played at 102.5 pace during, an 11-point run that they outscored the Lakers in the first quarter. You go back to the fourth quarter where they also had to try to pull away as well, and that was another increase in pace, despite the fact that the overall quarter was a little bit slower. There were still a bunch of points in that fourth because of the fact that they increased the pace at the time that they need to. So there's correlation between Denver winning and that pace going up. That's why one thing that you found that I really do think is worth it right now is Denver. There's the total and the Denver spread parlay that you can get on FanDuel, where they froze the total at 221.5, where it came out at before it got bet up to the 224.5, and then they give you that parlay with Denver to get to cover 4 points, 3.5, with at plus 200. So it's really a nice juicy bet for the original total, and you get to go over it, even though it got bet up 3 points. So 221.5 combined with Denver plus 3.5 is plus 200, like I said. And just looking, like I said, at those spurts where they're coming out and dominating the Lakers here to the tune of outscoring them by double digits over 3 to 4 minute spans. Like, I've got real nitty gritty with it to kind of get there, but it's just, there's a direct correlation between LA not giving up points and winning in these finals, or in these playoffs overall. They are scoring obviously a bunch more points when they win at about 117.5, but they're also giving up just less than 100 points at that point, outscoring their opponents by about 16.5 points when they win right now, like the blowing them out when they win in these games. So I just think for them to win, they're going to need to go under, and I'm just not ready to pick them to do that. So even if Denver keeps this thing close and isn't able to pull it out, but is able to cover the 4 with that lower total over, I'm just going with about a quarter of a unit on it. But there's just so much correlation between the Lakers winning and this game going under, and them losing, and the Nuggets scoring at least 117, 118 points that I think would get us over the 221.5.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the game theory. I do think it's more likely that the Lakers win and make this a more defensive game, though, because I mean, starting to tip their hand a little bit is Darvin Ham. Like, we're going to see more Dennis Schroeder, less D'Lo, who's an off trading defense for offense. We might see Mo Bamba thrown at the Joker. The Nuggets have pretty stark road home splits when you look at the entire season in terms of scoring a lot less on the road, and the Lakers, I mean, had been just stellar defensively prior to basically that fourth quarter of Game 3. I mean, they were great even in the first half of that game, aside from Murray hitting a ton of crazy shots. And so that's where I'm going with my second pick. Is I'm banking on a little bit of regression from Jamal Murray, from Michael Porter Jr., in terms of them not being able to win the game in the fourth quarter with just like, throw your hands up. Like, I think at one point LeBron just dapped up Jamal and was like, great shot, man. Like, what can I say? Like, that was incredible. But,
I remember that.
Jamal in general, if you look at the entire road playoffs here, I mean, he's a much better player at home, especially closing. In the second half, he averages 9 a game in the second half on the road, shoots 35 and 31% versus 17 and a half on 54% at home. MPJ shooting 63% from deep in the second half at home versus like 40-ish% on the road. And we've seen him, kind of fall away down the stretch at times. After going off for 30 in that first half, they held Jamal to 7 points. The Lakers did. In that second half, Schroeder, chasing him around, picking up a lot of fouls, but at least, showing some fight and not just getting cooked like D'Lo. And, I mean, the Lakers, their ability to score down the stretch is why I like them to win a close game here. I guess I talked around what the actual pick is here, but I'm doing the exact same pick from two nights ago, which is Lakers win margin 1 through 10 points. If you break it into 1 through 5 and 6 through 10, you actually get better odds because those are both plus 400 or better. And 6 through 10 points is plus 460, which would be real juicy if you're able to hit that. I mean, I don't see the Nuggets just getting blown out. That doesn't seem to happen. Like I mentioned before that game, they lost by 5, 7, and 6 in their 3 road losses this playoffs. But they're not particularly clutch on the road in this postseason. And game 3 didn't really qualify as a clutch game because they were able to just build a lead greater than 5 points immediately. So what you see now is they still have a 1-3 record and a -9 net rating on the road in the clutch versus the Lakers are 5-0 at home in those clutch games. They have a 70 defensive rating. I'm sorry, the Lakers are 2-0 versus the Nuggets when they're home are 5-0.
Yeah.
So it's again that kind of not the same ability to close out when you look at guys like Murray and Porter hitting crazy shots. And I think that the Lakers not going down on the road this season, that Nuggets defense is pretty vulnerable to what the Lakers do. 50 paint points allowed, a 30% free throw attempt rate, which is the 4th highest in these playoffs. And the pace really slows down too, is the key here when you're talking about a close game. Like neither team running away with it, but the Lakers actually executing down the stretch. And the Nuggets play at a 93 pace in the second half. Their pace is already down on the road. It's 97, but in the second half in particular, which is how the Lakers like to play, they're also at a 93 pace in the fourth quarter at home. So that's why I think I agree with you saying the game theory, Lakers plus under, because I think we'll have a close game that's more in the 220 or under range. And as this gets bet up, I might just look at the under again and stick to both my bets from game 3 and just say, like, look, Murray's not hitting all those crazy shots again.
Well, and look, we get the benefit of talking to each other here and hearing what the other one has to say, and then also maybe making some conclusions off of that. And after hearing what you had to say, it kind of goes back to a bet I wanted to put out that's in line with all of this, which is more so Denver. Just another tease, to be honest, which is Denver to tease up to plus 7.5, because I also can't see them getting spanked by double digits, and then to go under 228.5 and keep that thing up, because it is in line with the idea that if the Lakers win this thing, that they go under, you get a few more points, and you get the Nuggets to still probably to be able to lose this game and win your bet by as many as 7 points. So I think that's the way that I would play this as well. If you're being even more conservative, I don't know if it's the right play, like you're saying, for the juice here. There's plenty of other ways to juice this thing with the Lakers winning and then worrying about the total however you want. But if you want to add the total into this thing the way that follows what we're saying, that would be another way to do it and get it at even money there on DraftKings or FanDuel for them to be at those new lines and totals. So just another way to kind of play that if you like. But more importantly, as I keep talking about, I just feel pretty good about some of these player props here, and I'm going to use one for the second bet. And I'm going to talk about KCP, where straight up just over 1.5 threes made for him, which minus 130 on FanDuel, but I still really like that at 1.5 units to the tune of that. And then in the same vein here, I was looking at some stuff about Rui, considering how I could bet him, and just a nice little head-to-head bet for KCP and Rui in terms of their 3-pointers. For KCP to hit one more three than Rui in this game gets you minus 115 on DraftKings. Same bet if you were to take the inverse. But I like the fact that KCP is just pulling so many more threes. And for him to get 2 in this one is something he's done in all 3 games. I was talking about him more so in game 2, which was the only game he didn't get his points prop there and his points and rebounds combined prop because of the fact that he didn't play that much. He only played 26 minutes in game 2 because he had 3 personal fouls by the beginning of the second quarter and was pretty much out for the rest of that first half. Couldn't really come back and get the points, but he still had 2 made threes because he had 5 3-point attempts in those 26 minutes. That's like some Duncan Robinson stuff right there. So with that level of volume for him, the way that, and plus the minutes he's playing when he's not getting fouls, I'd love him to hit 2, and I'd definitely like him to hit more than Rui, because if Rui even hits 1, which he has done in each of the first 3 games of the series, he's hit 1, but he's done it on 2 attempts on average, right? He's had 2 attempts in a couple of games and 3 in the other one. 1 attempt, 3 attempts, 2 attempts. So for him to continue to shoot 2 threes a game, it's like I think KCP is going to make 2 threes a game. So you're telling me that he would only, if Rui hits 1, I'm still good with KCP hitting 2, which is, like I said, basically just a nice little way to add to the bet that I already like, which is for him to hit 2, and Rui might not even hit 1, to be honest. Like right now for Rui to hit 1 is his prop at like minus 220 for him to hit 1 3 and like plus 190 for him to not hit a 3. I would take the under on that before I took the over just because of the odds itself. But this is how I chose to sort of go under with Rui and still feel kind of safe about it, is that I think KCP is going to keep hitting those threes. He shot 6.3 attempts from deep over his last 4 against LA. And like I said, he would have had more than 5 if he had played more than 26 minutes in game 2. So his usage rate continues to be super high, by the way, 18% for KCP in this series. And again, that includes a 15% usage in that game 2. And Rui's just not scoring from, despite having an incredible series scoring the ball, he's not scoring from deep. He's getting the majority of his points as he's shooting 82% of his shots from 2-point in this series. And only 18% of his shots are even coming from deep with that 1 made each time. So if you want to bank on him to make 1 of 2 or 3 each game, go ahead. But I'm going to bank on the inverse on that for as far as like consistency goes.
Yeah, that's a good find on the head-to-head props. I was also looking at KCP being a little undervalued in those and going to take him to score more than D'Lo. But I guess there's some more variance there than what you're talking about, which is more, based more on the fact that, like Rui just cannot sustain his shooting all around, but he's also just not a high-volume 3-point shooter at all. And KCP is actually taking a few more threes on the road. He plays more minutes on the road. He's a guy Malone trusts because he's such a veteran and he knows exactly how to space off Jokic, who continues to see more double teams as the series wears on. And that leads to more 3-point attempts versus the Lakers are not really commanding the same double teams and not getting the quality of looks that you would need from 3 for a guy like Rui to hit multiple. He's got to be pretty open. He's not a sharpshooter. So, I like the head-to-head one more at slightly better odds.
Yeah, it's slightly better odds. It's just a way for me to kind of even press upon the original KCP bet, either way you want to push it. So that is all the time, though, we have for you in this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along. Check out the Play Up Props Only video that we have up for you as well for this one. And until we see you next, happy betting.